Hi, I'm Sage Burger, self-improvement coach, trainer and speaker, and my mission is to help you achieve your mission.
Hi, I'm Alan Latter. I'm an addiction recovery coach and an HR professional, and my passion is to help people, addicts and non-addicts, to change their lives and become better.
Today's episode, we're talking about 5 problems that we can help you with a solution with in your workplace. And then we've got a board prop here in front of us, guys, so please bear with us. We are reading notes as we are doing this, so we can give you proper information and the best job possible. So Alan, will you give us quickly the 5 points that we're going to have a discussion about today?
Okay, well, we're going to start with the decision to change. And you know what, whether you're an alcoholic addict looking to change, or whether you're a normal person just looking to change areas of your life, you have to make a decision to change. So we're going to be talking around that. And the second one is about self-forgiveness. It's about forgiving ourselves. And you know what, sometimes that's the hardest person to forgive. And then we're going to talk a little bit for employers around the concept of when their employee, maybe the guy's in trouble, maybe he's just come forward, but when your employee says, I'm an alcoholic, I'm a drug addict, what do you do next? You know, how do you handle this as an employer, some of the legalities, etc., around that? And then we're going to talk about, are you employing entrepreneurs? Entrepreneurs.
One of the 3 types of employees that you get. One of them is an entrepreneur.
And then we're going to talk about motivation during COVID. How do you as a manager, well, as an individual, keep yourself motivated, but how do you as a manager also keep your team motivated, some of whom may be in your office, some may be at home, whatever the situation is.
Awesome. Thank you, Alan. So what's important to remember, this is for CEO, C executives, it is for executives, it is for management, it's for anyone in any form of leadership position, it's for anyone that's an employee of a company that also needs individual attention in the areas that we talk about. So anyone that's watching this can find value from this somewhere within their workplace. Now let's start with the first one, decide to change. Alan, what are we meaning with deciding to change from your perspective?
Well, from my perspective, from an addiction recovery point of view specifically, recovery isn't easy. Recovery doesn't just happen. So you've got to make an active decision. I want to change.
Right.
Okay, and for some that comes in stages. You might first get to a point where you feel, you know what, this is getting out of hand, I want to cut back. But somewhere in that, you might also change that I want to cut back to I want to cut out.
Right.
But no matter what, and even in terms of self-improvement, you have to make a decision to want to change. You can't, so particularly with substance, you're not just going to, that substance isn't just going to fade out in your life. You have to make an active decision. Exactly. And the reason being, even if I'm locked in a rehab, Sage, even if I'm locked in a rehab, I'm not deciding to change there. My first time, that my decision to change, and a decision to change might have taken me into rehab, but the first time that is tested is not in rehab, whether I stay there. I suppose that's a little bit of a testing, is do I stick my program out or not? But my first test is when I now am at home, I take a walk around my block and I walk past my drug dealer, or I walk past a pub and there's alcohol there. That's the first time I then have to daily make a conscious decision to say I'm deciding to change my life by choosing different.
Sounds like hard work.
It is hard work.
Alright, so everything worthwhile is hard work, right?
Yes.
Alright, deciding to change. I 100% agree with Alan there. Deciding to change, if you never decide that you're going to change, nothing will change for you. Period. Problem number 2. Self-forgiveness.
Self-forgiveness. Well, with self-forgiveness, you know what, Sage, we're so quick. You and I have a fight. It's easy for me sometimes to forgive what you've said.
Right.
It's a lot easier than it sometimes is, and particularly in the sense of well, anybody. But it's always easier to forgive others than it is to forgive ourselves.
Right.
And sometimes we sit in a scenario where God, our understanding of God, who God is to us, He forgives, she forgives. But our understanding and other people, we can accept their forgiveness. But to forgive ourselves sometimes is the hardest thing. It really is hard, and you've got to dig deep, and you've got to make a conscious decision to forgive yourself. And you've got to work through your emotions around your anger with yourself. How do you see this, Sage?
There's a process that you can go through to forgive yourself. It's measurable, you can track it, it's an actual skill that you can build. If you did something that you regret, or you did something that you are not proud of, that will diminish your identity like tremendously. And for you to not do that, there's an actual process that you can go through that can help you to get from point A to point B, and you can overcome that by will.
Sure.
You can literally develop that, and that is a part of the post-COVID program.
Yeah, there we go.
Because you see, when you come into a when we come into a company, what we really do is we help those individuals in a company, no matter what level you're at. And even Mr. CEO, even you, wherever you are, whatever we're going to bring to the table will be able to enhance the performance of your staff. And when the performance of your staff is enhanced, that's when everything else is better.
Well, Sage, I just want to add something there, and it's relevant to this, and everybody, all of us, whether you're the tea lady or whether you're the CEO, you are driven by core values, core principles, core beliefs. Now, core values are one thing, core principles are another, and core beliefs are another. Now, but core beliefs, I've heard defined recently, and it was very interesting. I was reading up, your core beliefs are sometimes not actual values or actually what you actually believe. It's your worst fears. And so those drive your actions, your worst fears, and those are underpinned, those are supported by a whole lot of rules that you create around that. And sometimes if you're expecting perfection from yourself, it's hard to forgive yourself because that's one of your rules. Now, being able to unpack that, because that affects your performance. So, and I'm really happy to hear Sage mention we have a solution. There are exercises we can do to unpack that, break those rules, and then obviously change your worst fears.
Awesome, Allan. Alcoholic.
Yes, this we want.
Employed, confessed. This is going to be a long topic, eh? So
not necessarily.
Let's give a short punch on that. Like, if this happens to you, this must be hectic when you're a CEO. You look at this and you're like, oh shit, and this is my top performer.
Yeah.
What do I do now? So what are we talking about, Al? What's the third problem?
100%. The third problem is, you as an employer, whether you're team manager or CEO, like you say, you have an employee. Now, maybe he's messing up, but maybe he's not. But one day he comes into your office, whether he's there for disciplinary reasons or not, he now suddenly breaks down and he says to you, I've got a problem, and I'm an alcoholic, or I'm an addict, I'm a drug addict. Now, the knee-jerk reaction of an employer is to say, get out of my company. But under the Labour Relations Act, and it doesn't, please be very careful, it does not directly say this, but the essence of what the Labour Relations Act says in one part is it says that you need to try and help him. You have an ethical responsibility to try and help him. But what I also want to emphasize here, Sage, is that there's a value-based reason to help that employee. If you're my employee, I've invested time in you. You've come through the first 6 months of employment where you're not really worth a lot to me. Now you're at the level you're performing. I've invested in that person.
Right.
Now that person gets to that problem, and remember, the alcoholism, the drug addiction, it's the symptom. It's the sneeze, it's the cough, it's the sore body, it's the fever. It's not the sickness.
100%.
And that's the problem. So as you begin to help that person by putting that person in the right programs, which is part of what we do on the post-COVID program, and part of other programs that we run, are you can put that person in a position where they can be helped. Now, the biggest challenge here, Sage, and this is something I want to emphasize here. Forgive me rabbiting on here. I know you want it short.
No problem.
But one of the biggest things I've got to emphasize is the normal route, the traditional route with that guy. Is you confess to me, Allan, I'm an employee and I'm an alcoholic. Now, what do? I now take money out of my pocket. This employee might already have messed up. So now I take money out of my pocket, or out of the company's pocket, and I go to Mr. Rehab, And forgive me, rehabs are brilliant, and there are occasions when a rehab is necessary. But now I go to Mr. Rehab and I pay Mr. Rehab a lot of money, and then I take you and I ship you off to rehab, which is anywhere from 6 weeks to 6 months to a year. What work's being done at your desk? Absolutely nothing. And so I'm losing the cost of helping you, I'm losing time, and I'm now losing any productivity, anything you may have produced, I'm losing. Now, we have a system, and it doesn't work for everybody. That's part of the evaluation process. Is saying, is this person still at a point where we can remedy this problem while they sit at their desk? And I'll tell you why, Mr. CEO, if I can help your employee overcome this problem, and Sage can help your employee overcome this problem through the post-COVID program and through the programs we're running, he stays at his desk. For that 6 months, that 6 weeks, he is producing. He is still producing work of value. And the cost is minimal compared. Why? Because, and it's a logic, it's not that the rehabs are ripping you. The rehabs have to house him, they have to feed him, they have to accommodate therapists around him full time, etc., 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 and you simply will be paying our fee.
Exactly.
Sage, does that add value?
That adds value. That adds absolute value. Guys, now I want you to also think, Mr. CEO, are you employing the right employee? Alan, we've got 3 types of employees.
Yes.
What are they?
Dumb, dumb, and dumber.
Dumb, dumb, and dumber. You've
No,
got
I'm
an
joking.
employee, you've got a good employee, and you've got an entrepreneur.
There we go.
Alan, what is an employee?
Well, an employee is a guy that, he shows up, but he's normally got some excuse why he's 10 to 15 minutes late every single day. He got stuck in the toilet, that's why he's 10 minutes late back from lunch. He cuts corners. He's an employee. So he still adds value, he brings value, but you constantly got to be on this guy. You've got to watch his timekeeping, you've got to watch his performance, you've got to watch his productivity. And you do a lot of work just to get some work out of him.
If you are listening to this, Mr. CEO, that's what your employee does. Employee, if you are listening to this, there's a next level. What is the next level?
Well, the next level would be a good employee, Sage. Now, a good employee, he starts at 8, so he's at his desk, but a good employee will arrive at his desk at 7:45, but he'll first have coffee, and then she'll file her nails, or he'll check his WhatsApps before, and he'll say, 8 o'clock, right, and he's 8 o'clock sharp, he's at his desk already, and he's on the go. He'll leave at 12, and his lunch ends at 1:45. 1:45, he'll be back at his desk, but he'll be there maybe 20 to 1, but he'll be waiting. He'll be putting his lunch away and maybe browsing his social media, and at 1:45, he'll start working. He will produce, but he'll produce what he has to stay in his job. That's a good employee. And why? You know why? Because his vested interest is with him only. And he is working for you. And so he'll produce. He's not a bad employee. You don't have to discipline him as much, but he's above the other guy, but he's not at the top rung. Sage, tell us about the top rung employee. Seeing you quizzing me.
The top rung employee. So an entrepreneur is the 3rd type of employee that you get, and an entrepreneur is someone that takes pride in what they do with their life. This is the person that is employed by your company, and they are proud working for you. What we do
They
with
are
the
not
post-COVID
joining the
program,
Thank God It's
is
Friday
that we
club because your
bring
company sucks,
the skills to the
because
table in a predictable way.
they
The systems
actually
and
don't
the
want to be
techniques
there.
that's been
It's not that your
proven
company
over
sucks.
thousands
You
and
have
thousands
got
of people.
employees that
And
doesn't
also,
go
I've
to
been
when it comes to
helping people now
And
for more than 20 years doing this kind of thing, where you improve yourself into the person that you need to be to get what you want from your life. And that's what an entrepreneur does at their work desk. They do what they need to do to get what they want, and if they want a increase, they will do the necessary things needed to be able to ask for the increase. They won't leave the job and go find another job they don't want because they got more money for it. And are you employing the right employees? Is number 1 question I've asked. God to ask for you. Number 2 question is, what if we can come into your office and instill these principles within the staff that you have and identify for you,
Yes.
this and this and this person is someone that you can cultivate into future leaders, and these and these and these people will do their job and they'll do a good job at it, but you're never going to get the +1 steps out of them, and these guys here really is not helping your bottom line. And then we can help you to cut the fat, and we can help you to actually increase that bottom line all at the same time.
Yes, so just on closing that subject from my side, which you've just emphasized nicely, is the difference between a good employee and an entrepreneur is a good employee will do what he needs to get a paycheck. An entrepreneur owns his desk. So he says in his desk, how is doing a better job of value to me? An entrepreneur will align himself with what you want to achieve in your department, because he'll know if you as an employer, as a CEO, as a company, achieve what you want to achieve, you grow your turnover by 10%, you grow your profitability by 4%. He knows that if he is part of that solution, he's working towards not your future, but your future collectively. Right. So he takes ownership of his desk because he gets a result out of it, and that result can be aligned with yours, and that's the difference. As Sage has said, we've got programs to help your employee to change and shift his mindset if he does the work or she does the work. But we're also able to measure that and tell you this employee doesn't want to change, they just want to be an employee. But this employee wants to change and grow into a mindset that makes them an entrepreneur and takes them to the top level of performance, which is of value direct into the back pocket of the company.
Excellent. And then we're not even going to give detail on the last one. The last problem is your staff is not motivated during COVID. You are probably not motivated during COVID. And let me tell you again, there's a predictable way to help people to stay motivated within your company. And we can show you how to do that. We have completely ran out of time here to carry on, but we are so passionate about bringing, and I'm speaking for Allan here because I know him well, and I know this is the same about us, but we are so passionate about bringing value to you that we will always overvalue rather than undervalue. And we wanted to bring these 5 points to you to show you that we have got an insight that can be brought to the table within your organization that could help you to support your staff, to minimize risk, and to increase your bottom line. And it's in the areas of 1 in 3 people in your company is either anxious, severely anxious, or depressed. And I have a solution for that. 15, you got the ads.
15% would have either a substance abuse problem or a behavioral problem that is harmful to them and thus harmful to those in the surroundings.
15% of your company.
It's about 1 in 4, 1 in 5.
1 in 4, 1 in 5.
No, it's about 1 in 5.
So,
just less than 1 in 5.
Okay, 15% of your company has got those issues, and Allan has got the solution for that. And for less than $10 a day, we can literally get into your office digitally, and we can help your employees to turn into good employees and then into entrepreneurs. Any last words for you, Al?
So it's just to say on the solution that Sage is talking about, it's not going to, the practicalities because of the age we live in are wonderful. So whether part of your team is in the office and part of the team is at home, we can still deliver to them. Even if the team is fragmented, you're all working from your different homes, we can be delivering to a team that's got 2 in Pretoria in suburbs and 3 here in Joburg North in suburbs and a few in Boksburg and the East Rand. It doesn't matter. We can deliver to all of those on the same basis and on the same level. So we're running a program with your staff even remotely, and that's because of modern technology.
100%. So if you want to know how to, if you want to know if you qualify for the post-COVID program, then you can click the link in the description. And if you like this content, give us a subscribe. Allan, anything that you would like the viewers to do for us to help them more?
Just if you liked any of this content and you found it of value, maybe it's not of value or it's not something you can apply, but you know of somebody who can apply this, send it on to them and let them have a look. and share. In other words, pass it on. And then also, please give us a like, give us a thumbs up, and subscribe for future content.